Good morning, folks, and welcome to a brand new episode of FinMet Mondays. Very, very volatile week, Sunil, for gold. We saw a $50 run up in gold specifically, also in silver. I wanted to show you on the charts how the markets really perform. Let me just quickly tune
Sure.
into that.
Yeah, I must say, Shawn, that you got it absolutely right in terms of the levels. So it'll be interesting to see now what happened and how you see it going forward.
The first thing was that, of course, these levels that you see right now are tuned to the coming week. But let's try and focus on some of the things that happened last week. We saw this 1880 earlier act as a resistance. We spoke about how the metal was somewhere around this 1850 to 1860 range. And we're going to see a resistance at the 1880 level. And that's what happened. Up until Friday, we were right up until here. And then just fear of escalations probably from the conflict and fear of not being able to capitalize on it led to massive safe haven gains on Friday just before the weekend started, and that's why you see the run up all the way to 1930, right? So that caught a lot of market participants off guard, and again it poses the questions, where is the market going to head next week? So firstly, we have two resistance levels that on the spot gold charts. We have 1954 and we have 1987. What's going to happen is, if we don't see any more developments on the Israel Palestine conflict as of Saturday and Sunday, it is very likely that we're going to see some of this cool off and we're going to see a slight retreat back to 1900 levels. It won't be a very sharp retreat, but it's going to be a slightly graduated, tempered retreat, right? Because you need some of these fears to kind of really fuel extending rallies. However, if you see these developments further, 1954 and 1987, these are the two levels I would bring people's attention to, which is where you might see a pullback temporarily before a further acceleration towards the next level. So these would be the main levels on spot gold. Similar pattern for silver. The levels are just the 23.8 and 24.6. Basically around the 24 levels is where I would keep my first points of resistance, and around the 22 levels is where I will keep the support currently that's tethered for spot silver. Talking about the US dollar, this is quite interesting. We are now seeing US dollar, or specifically USD INR, my bad, hit levels that it has never seen before. Right now, the markets are currently at 83.421. This is the highest USD INR spot rate that we've ever seen. It is becomes very difficult to tell where markets are going to go, where the USD INR exchange rate is going to go from here. Sky is the limit essentially, but we will definitely not see a greater acceleration in USD INR rates with an increase in the escalation of the geopolitical conflict. I think that's like typically in a bond, we talk about this property of convexity, where when the interest rates fall, the prices of the bond increase quite a lot, but when the interest rates uh, when the interest rates rise, the prices of the bond don't fall off as much. It's exactly what we might see in USD INR as well. You might see an escalation in the conflict, but you might not see prices increase as much because you're already tethered to really high levels. So
Yeah,
is
and
it
also from a fundamental point of view, I think RBI will be willing to step in and make any kind of decline very orderly rather than a sudden spike up.
exactly? So that sort of summarizes how the performance is going to be going forward. We are going to see a slight pullback probably on Monday and Tuesday if there is no escalations or there's no developments. But you just have to be always on the edge with regards to whenever these geopolitical conflicts come up, as to markets can always rally from there. Talking about like the rally and what the Fed is going to do, Sunil, I wanted to get your take on where do you think the interest rate outlook is going to head towards come to the end of the year, come to the November FOMC meet as well. Do you think, based on the recent inflation data, we are in for one another interest rate hike, or are we at a complete interest rate pause going ahead?
So let's look at the data first. I think the inflation data was still hot, but it wasn't. It didn't cool off, but it didn't become more heated. So it was at the same levels. If you strip away various one-offs, it was quite okay in terms of it didn't really have anything which will make the Fed get really too much worried. So I think from that sense, and also from listening to the different speeches coming from the Fed officials, what we're seeing is they feel very comfortable at these levels. They feel that it's sufficiently restrictive. It means that it's high enough that inflation is not going to go out of control. And I think there's unwillingness to take it even higher. So from that point of view, I think Fed is going to remain where it is for this October meeting. And if the data is not really dramatic, it'll probably remain the same for the December meeting. So where we are in interest rates is where we're going to be for a few months to come, I think.
Well, thanks, Sunil. We covered the technical price outlook for next week. We also covered certain elements of the conflict. So let's see how the markets play out. But till then, thank you so much and goodbye.